Aloha, Sandra Razielli here. I was setting up to film one of my longer Patreon videos and I thought I'd throw in one of the short videos because the light is good and the challenge here is getting good light. So today I want to share with you a nice movement for the hips that you can do any place where you have a chair or some other bench type thing. I actually only have one chair in my entire house. It's a folding chair and it's being used somewhere. So I have this bench I'm going to use. And today the movement is a hip movement, just to get some movement in here. If you've been sitting and always being in the same direction, or even if you're walking and running, you tend to move your hips in the same direction. So today we're going to play with moving the hips in a few different directions. And what you do is you can either take the foot down low, which is why actually a bench is kind of nice, or you can take your foot up high, and then start bending the knee a little back and forth. Just getting some movement here. I like doing this as a break when I've been standing for a long time at my computer. I guess you could do it in the kitchen too. Now as I'm bending and straightening the top leg, I'm encouraging the back leg to stay long. So I'm keeping a lot of length on that side. And then, of course, just go over to the other side. Bending and straightening. Now it can get interesting. I recommend a bench that doesn't move so much, but that's what I got right now. This floor is a little slippery. So aside from going forward and back, you can go at different angles, and this is when it can feel really good. Doing these movements in the hips just helps create a greater sense of freedom. So what you can do is you can lift your foot, turn it out to the side, and then come a little forward and back. So you get that sense of external rotation without it being like forced or strong. You might just come forward a little bit. You might even just stand here for a little bit. Get a different shape than you're used to. And then go on over to the other side. Remember, you can do this much lower. I'm doing it higher because I'd rather do it high than super low. And then if I did super low, you wouldn't see me on the camera. But just going back and forth can feel great. If you find one spot like, oh, I want to stay there a little bit, you might put your hand down. Take a little time moving around in that area. So what you're doing is exploring getting a little bit more of the full range of motion in your hip joints. You might even take a little more static position by externally rotating the leg, turning it off to the side. For some of you, it's also a balance practice. You might come forward, take your leg torso forward and hang out here a little. Now this may look to some of you as it's a very bendy position, and I'll acknowledge that not all bodies do this. And I don't encourage you ever to force yourself into doing this, but if it feels good and you're moving and not pushing, then it can be really lovely practice. It's basically similar to doing it with a foot higher. There's just a little more rotation. So one more side. Play around with it. This is just to give you some more ideas of ways you can move your hips when you're stuck at home, or even when you're going out and about. You might find, even if you find like a curb on the street, so your foot would be pretty low. I guess I could show you here, right? Your foot's fairly low on the curb, just going back and forth again, getting those rotations. My intention is to share with you some more ways you can move and groove with your hips, keeping them moving at the biggest joint in our body. Often it gets stuck in habitual movement, so exploring a wider range can help you feel a lot better. Thanks for watching. You can see more at raziyoga.com.